Hi, welcome to a new episode of ETRetailCafe, an initiative by ETRetail. So today we have with us Manish Taneja, who is the co-founder of Purplle. He started his career as an investment banker, stood in the service industry for 5 years, and then decided to take a plunge and introduced Purplle to all of us, and now it's a unicorn. So we would love to know from you, Manish, your journey. What was the thought process of joining the service industry first and then starting your own business? Was like since childhood you wanted to do it, or what was the idea behind it?
No, thanks, Charu. I grew up like any other, I would say, boy in a city called Faridabad, which is close to Delhi. I would remember that, we would go to Delhi to shop for clothes whenever there was a special event in the family. Typically, it would be like Lajpat Nagar or South Extension if you were feeling quite rich. My parents had a tough upbringing. My grandparents had come from now called Pakistan, erstwhile India. And, one of the things my parents believed in was, children should get great education so that they can do very well. My dad wanted me to be a civil servant. But I ended up landing at IIT Delhi, and that changed the life for me. From like a frog in a small well, which was Faridabad for me, I landed up amongst the best talent in the country. Typically in a single batch in IIT in those days, they would take like 550 people children from all over the country. I would say typically very bright minds. And, that sort of opened my eyes, and I'm quite grateful to IIT for giving us all the confidence to crack these things. My thoughts around entrepreneurship, I think, some of my relatives used to be very enterprising, and they used to run their own businesses, and I saw them create wealth. And I felt like entrepreneurship is perhaps the best way to create wealth for not yourself but also for many others. And so it was always quite high on agenda, but I didn't know when to start, what to do. So after I finished my graduation from IIT, I came to Bombay and I joined Lehman Brothers, which was an American investment bank. Little did I know that 6 months later things would turn sour, and in 2008, Lehman would file for bankruptcy. And so, I started working for an Indian investment bank called Avendus Capital. I got a chance to work with the founder of Avendus. At the same time, I also got a chance to work with lots of entrepreneurs in the country when we were trying to raise capital for them. And that's when I made a resolve that, why don't I get started quickly on my own journey as well. And so I started thinking about Purplle somewhere in 2010 and early 2012 we started Purplle.
So the dream which you saw that you want to be the entrepreneur to earn more money.
Yes.
So it took shape in 2010 when after 5 years of your service.
Yes.
Cool. So was it easy to bring the idea to give life to the idea, or it was very difficult because 3 men starting a beauty company.
Yes.
And when there's so much of competition, there are women who are running the successful businesses in beauty industry. The consumer is so finicky. I mean, they keep on jumping here and there. There are so many options available these days. So how difficult was it for you?
I would say our decision to join the retail industry and within that e-commerce was very straightforward. And I think I give credit to 2 of my hostel mates for this. So I stayed at a hostel at IIT Delhi. One person who was 1 batch senior to me was Binny Bansal, who had started Flipkart. The other one who was 1 year junior to me from my own hostel was Pankaj Chadda, who was co-founder at Zomato. Look, there is always this guy next door effect, like if you feel like people who were very similar to you could do this, you also thought that, it's probably worth giving a try. I also think, internet was at its inflection point in 2010-11, where, people were moving to smartphones, and traffic for all internet companies in India was growing every month. And that is, I don't think any one of us played a role in it. It was just like there was a tide that was lifting all of us, and so I felt like I didn't want to miss this bus, and so we started Purplle in 2012. Why beauty industry specifically? I wouldn't say it's a personal use case, or it was not a personal use case, but I think we shouldn't sort of differentiate between a woman entrepreneur and a man entrepreneur, or a woman founder and a sort of man founder. I think entrepreneurs are good at solving problems, and wherever they see an opportunity, they go after it. So our reason for going for beauty industry was very, very simple. I think beauty retailing in India in 2010-11 was very, very basic in India. In most tier 1 cities, you perhaps had departmental stores, but in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities, even till date today, there aren't any high quality offline beauty destinations. And so we thought it will be worthwhile to disrupt this industry. Second is, you cannot solve a lot of problems by being offline, because offline works very well when you have concentration of people living in an area. But given India's geography, which is so big, it's very hard to run offline profitably in a lot of cities, and we felt internet could solve that problem. There is another challenge of, like we all, like, if you look at Indians from north, which is Srinagar to Kanyakumari, we have so many different skin tones, so many different skin types. It's very hard for us to stock every piece of inventory in every part of India. And so again, internet e-commerce became a better model to serve. And last but not the least, I felt like India was at very early stages of beauty adoption, which I still think it is. And so, when we started Purplle in those days, there would be girls who were 17, 18-year-olds, and my phone number and my email ID was somehow accessible. So I used to get these emails and SMSs and WhatsApp messages from consumers where they would say, "Sir, please create content like, how to get this actress's look from a particular Bollywood movie." And I would say, why do you need it? Why can't you have your own look? And they said, what happens is, if there's a wedding in the family, all the senior ladies would typically go to a salon or a beauty parlor, but us late teens, we don't have that luxury, so we watch your videos and do our own makeup. And so I felt like content is one place we wanted to really invest in, and that's what we've done. So look, it's been a very rewarding journey. I think beauty is a large industry. It's at cusp of becoming even larger. It's a very profitable industry. It's also a very high repeat industry. More and more consumers keep consuming same product as well. And at the same stage, it was very early stage industry when we got into it. So if we can stay in this industry for next 20 years, I feel we will build a very large company.
So how have you seen this industry evolving from then to now?
Yeah. Typically this is true for any industry and not necessarily true for retailing or beauty retailing. I think all industries in India have become significantly more efficient than what they used to be earlier. I think the experience today is much better than what the experience used to be 10 years or 12 years ago. So I wouldn't say it's specifically different from beauty industry. I think what has happened in beauty industry is that, one is retailing has shifted from desktops to mobile phones to apps. Delivery formats have changed from 3-4 day delivery to next day delivery to same day delivery to 20 minutes delivery. Lots of beauty brands have blossomed in India. Like 10 years ago, if you looked at skincare for oily skin, you would perhaps have 5 products to look at. Today, you will probably have 100 options. You will have options from Korea, you will have options from Japan, you'll have options from India, you'll have options from America, and so on and so forth. So I think today the beauty market is probably 10x larger in terms of number of choices available to customers. Today the beauty market is I think the kind of content that is available is brilliant for people to learn and use it. And I think it's significantly better for consumers in terms of more choices, more price points, more products, more formats. I think it's grown like 10x.
So 10x the industry is growing. How is your product portfolio growing in all these times?
So I'll give you a very interesting anecdote. When we started Purplle, I would say first 2-3 years, one of the things we had to spend a lot of time on was evangelizing brands to sell online. Because most people, most FMCG companies at that point in time thought that, books can be sold online because Flipkart was doing it since 2007. And most likely standardized products like mobile phones and other electronics can be sold online. I don't think people believed in beauty being sold online because everyone had these, apprehensions in their mind that, how will people touch and feel a lipstick? How would you know how this nail shade looks on you, and so and so
Maybe
forth, right?
technology wasn't that advanced at that point of time, but when AR and VR and machine learning, all those tools where people can actually see and their face and try things weren't there.
Yeah, look, I think that's true, but I think, I think it's a choice a consumer is making. If you are living in a city, let's say Ranchi of 2010, you did not have any options to any which ways try products. At least this was giving you an opportunity to buy up shade and try it, right? So, so I think generally for any new thing, people are a little apprehensive, but I think that was, so we spent a lot of time convincing brands to sell online. That was the hard job in my view. But I think ever since 2015, as a lot of things came together. I think 3G came to India, augmented reality, AR, as you just mentioned, became better and better. And so, like on our app, you can actually try a lipstick virtually in almost like live format. You can try eyeliners, mascara, nail polishes on your nails, virtually. A lot has changed. I think 2016 onwards, I think Jio came and data became 1/10 cheap in India than what the cost usually used to be. And what happened because of Jio is content consumption in India just exploded in tier 2 and tier 3, or I would say vernacular markets. And the moment content explodes, then you might be living in Delhi and I'm living in, let's say, remote city in Northeast. I have access to the same content. I have the same aspirations. I have same data capability as you have, which is, because Jio has made it so cheap for me. Now I want the same products as what you're buying, and that has led to the, evolution of beauty industry, I would say.
So you started with how many brands online, and how far have you reached till now?
So we started with about 100 brands online, and I would say we used to have like 2,000 products. Today we have about 1,200 brands live on the platform and about 50,000 products.
Oh, nice. So, you have built the team from the scratch. This is not a family business which everything was given to you in the platter. So, what challenges did you face by building your team? How difficult it is to impart the same values which you want to build in your brand going ahead?
Yeah, you're right. So what started as 3 men at the age of 27 today is about 3,100 people company. I think I would love to talk about one aspect here which might be quite useful to the viewers. I think which I call as power of compounding. What happens is it takes you time before you reach a critical mass. Let's say that time could be different for different companies. Some companies could get there in 3 years, some companies could get there in 7 years. But what happens is after that, when you start compounding, you start adding a lot of revenue, and you also start creating a lot of opportunities for people to work with you. So I would say till 2017, we were probably like a 50-60 people company. Sitting in 2023, we are about 3,100 people. Revenue has also grown in a similar manner. And so to your question, how do we keep people aligned? I think the biggest part here is hiring. We have a process called Level Up, whereby we have certain identified individuals in the firm. Almost 20 or 30 people are certified here who have a veto on every new hire we make. Right? These people have been with us for 6 or 7 years, and we trust them with their judgment on our cultural values. You will not be able to hire somebody here without this Level Up committee approving that person. So that makes sure that the bar of people who are entering the system is always higher than the previous bar we had. Um, I think rest of it then sort of spreads very, very amorphously, where people see us acting in a certain manner, so they also act in that manner. One of our values is we want to be really nice and fair to people. It's actually one of the things that has done really well. So I would say, in my own interest, I would say this is a value that's done really well for us. We always, you know, execute over ideate is one of our values, which is don't spend a lot of time ideating on something, because many decisions you can always take a U-turn. Go ahead and execute it at small scale and do it well. I think one of our values is pursue something relentlessly, be relentless. I think a lot of people who are here for last 7-8 years would sort of testify to it. There are 2 or 3 times that we've run out of money, but we've just stayed put and later on made profits, and we didn't need that money. So, I think it starts with hiring. I don't think we get it 100% right, but I think if you get it like 80%, 85% right, I think most of the job is done there. Rest of the job happens on the job when you learn it from how others are acting.
So we were talking about technology prior to this. So when we talk about technology, how data has actually helped you build a sustainable business?
Good you pointed this out, because this is something which I believe is a strength for Purplle. So we have one of the ways in which I'll tell you how data. So one is data is pervasive in every part of what we do. So there is nothing that Purplle does or any of our brands do which is not backed by or started by data. One of the things that I would love to say is that, one of the things we do when you first download our app is we ask you to tell us a little bit about your skin type, scalp type, skin tone. You can also click a selfie and we will be able to gather through augmented reality whether you have pigmentation or you have acne or you have wheatish skin tone or fair skin tone and so on and so forth. At the same time, you can give us this information voluntarily also. About 5.5 million women in India, which is 55 lakh women in India, have given us this information voluntarily. So this solves a big problem where we know what products to recommend to them, because now we know a little bit more about you than if you had just downloaded the app. Then our recommendations engines come in and we start recommending the relevant products to you. It's very, very advanced. We have one of the best data capabilities. One of the other examples I would cite is one of our internal tools is called Beauty Intelligence Suite. As part of that, what you can do is you can plot any kinds of trends with respect to beauty industry, and the computer, using machine learning, breaks any keyword or any phrase it reads and can actually plot trends for you. I'll give you an example. Just like a human brain processes a phrase, likewise, using machine learning, computer can understand how many searches used to happen for hyaluronic acid 2 years ago, what happens today, what is happening to tea tree as an ingredient, are people looking for more anti-acne solutions or are they looking for more anti-aging solutions, what is happening to hemp-based products in India or globally, how many new products are getting launched with which ingredient. All of that stuff is actually available to you at your fingertips. This is high quality data capability that we've built. This powers all our brand creation. So all the products that you think we have launched as part of our own brands, all of them are backed by data science capabilities, and after that the brand managers come in and sort of create the final product, but it all starts with data.
So data is there, AR is there, VR is there, yes. AI is there.
Yeah.
So much is happening in the tech. What if tech replaces your job also someday?
I think there are a few things that tech can't do. Yeah. I think computers will not be able to develop emotions. I think computers will never be able to do any business which is relationship driven. Computers will be able to do a better job of managing data better than humans will be able to do. But I would say computers will find it very hard to do a lot of emotional stuff, and computers will find it very hard to do a lot of relationship driven stuff. So when I say relationship driven stuff, we have relationships with 1200 brands. That piece cannot be replaced. We have relationships with 20, 30 different manufacturers for our own brands. That cannot be replaced, because trust is the biggest grease you can apply to any relationship. It's the best thing that you can do. And I think humans are very good at building trust. I think computers will find it very, very hard. So there are a lot of jobs that computers can't do. Computers can't
ChatGPT is trying to build that trust somehow.
Yeah. I think it's early days. And I think ChatGPT may be able to do a few things well, but as I said, when humans are talking to each other, I just think that magic is very, very different. We all thought that, when we went into COVID, we would never return to offices. But I think we've seen amazing efficiency when people have returned to offices. All of this could have been done on Zoom, but it just is not as good. I mean, we are all social animals at the end of the day. It'll be very hard to replace human interactions, however much technology comes in.
Cool. So, quality or quantity, what do you suggest a new age entrepreneur should concentrate upon, and why?
I think quality always matters. You can always build quantity once you have quality in place. You can't do the vice versa. So you can't say, I'm making tons of revenue but losing a lot of money. There is no product market fit. Likewise, you can't sell tons of bad quality products and say that I've gotten scale and now I will improve my quality. I think it never works. I think quality comes first, replication and getting to scale, and quantity therefore comes later.
So what was the idea behind launching your own private labels? Because there were already so many brands in the industry.
I would say, go ahead.
And you started as a marketplace, right? Marketplace and your own brand. How do you wanted to weigh both of them together?
Sure. So, when we started our own brands in 2017, I would say there weren't too many D2C brands also in the country. I mean, we were still living in the generation of brands or products being made for general trade and modern trade, where shelf space is very limited. And so you had very few anti-aging products. You couldn't get products which is like, anti-acne gel for dry skin and chronic acne. You couldn't do these specialist products. So when we came up with our own brands, the idea was very simple. We could sense a lot of demand in India for certain products. Those products were not available in third-party brands at that point in time. And to be honest with you, when we started our own brands, we weren't very sure how would this play, because we had never made products of our own. We had always been a services industry where we sold somebody else's products. We were good at logistics, we were good at warehousing, we were good at technology, but we were not confident about our own formulations. But we had a lot of faith in our data, and we thought the fruit of the pudding is in the eating of it. So we tried and made some products suggested by data, and it caught wildfire, and then we just didn't look back.
So you talked about supply chain, logistics, everything over here. How did you make sure that everything falls at place the way you wanted them to?
Yes. One of the other magic of power of compounding and thinking more long term and living for more long term is there are two very clear benefits that happen because of this. One is, if you just survive for a longer period of time, which in our case is 11 years and hopefully 20, 30 more years, there is a lot of serendipity that works. So what happens is, over a period of time, you meet a lot of people and you meet them serendipitously. They end up becoming mentors to you. Maybe they've done this thing well in their life and you can actually learn from them. Maybe one decision from them can actually save you 2 years. So, when it came to running large warehouses, we had never done this earlier. A mentor came and helped us design our warehouses, and that was 10 years ago. We've never looked back. Today we run about 6 to 7 lakh square feet of our own warehousing, very, very automated, very, very advanced. Likewise, the other benefit I would say about, thinking more long term is, you also get better at judgment. And so over a period of time, you know whether this way of doing things is the right way for you or not. If you're trying to play for short term, you're actually living in a FOMO. You know, you're hoping this thing will work and, you know, I will get it right this time. I think that mindset completely changes when you think more long term. And so I would say, you know, it's been like great people who worked with us. It's been this magic of serendipity where we've met very interesting people who have helped us with supply chain, who've helped us with branding. We didn't know any of this stuff when we started. We were great at Excel sheets, but and you know, obviously along the way, a lot of very interesting people have joined us, and they continue to be with us, you know, even till date.
Did they help you in innovating something new as well?
Absolutely, you know, this beauty intelligence suite that I just referred to is actually built by a 30-year-old guy in the company. I think he joined us when he was 22 years old. So lot of innovative stuff has been done by very young people, and I mean, you always believe that it will work because it's backed by data and backed by first principle, but you always still have to execute it right. Otherwise, you know, execution is everything. I think ideation is a very small part of innovation.
So while innovating going ahead, how do you see the beauty industry growing and Purplle growing simultaneously?
You know, I would say if India were to grow at, let's say, you know, 6 to 7% over the next 10 years, I actually think this is the golden decade of India. I think India will do really well in the coming 10 years than it has ever done in its life, purely from an economic and social point of view. And so I think if India were to grow at 6 to 7% year on year, and you know, that's in real terms, in nominal GDP terms, it will grow at maybe 12-13% year on year. I think beauty industry can grow at 1.5 times the pace of Indian economy growth, which is, let's say, 18-19%, which is brilliant, outstanding. So what that means is every 5 or 6 years, we will be doubling as an industry. And within that industry, if let's say we can grow at a faster pace, which is, let's say, 30% year on year, then, you know, you are looking at basically 15 to 20 times growth in the next 10 to 12 years. And I think that would be an amazing position to be in. So, you know, if today we were valued at $1.1 billion, if, you know, we could be a $20 billion company, you know, 10 years from now, I think it would be a great outcome.
So no IPO?
Look, let me just tell you a little bit about our shareholders and how we choose them. And again, I want to bring the principle of power of compounding and long-term thinking. We've always chosen investors who we believed would be very, very long-term, not necessarily the ones that give you the highest valuation. So if you look at our cap table, I think it's one of the best quality cap tables that exists in any startup in India. We have Sequoia Capital, we have Goldman Sachs, we have Whirl Invest, which is the family office of the AB InBev group. We have Bloom from early days. And then we have two beautiful Indian, you know, private equity firms. One of them is Premji Invest, which is, you know, effectively the family office of Mr. Premji. And we have Kedara Capital, which is actually a brilliant homegrown private equity fund with 10 plus 2-3 years life. So, you know, do we need to do an IPO to give an exit to our investors? The answer is no. We've already given exits to our early investors, which is Ivy Cap and partly to JSW. They've all made between 20 and 30 times their money in us. So we are in good shape. Rest of the investors are very recent, and so, you know, there is no pressure to do IPO. I think from an employee point of view, I think it gives great currency because your ESOPs now become almost liquid. And so, you know, we'll take a call at the right time. At the moment, there is nothing like this on the cards.
Okay, so we'll start the quick chat now, and we'll have to answer everything one by one, and no extra thinking time.
Okay, sure.
Cool. So what keeps you motivated?
I think the opportunity.
You're thinking again.
Sure. Okay. Opportunity size.
Okay, so what is your favorite book?
My favorite
business book.
Yeah. It's called Inside Out Leadership by Rajiv Vij.
Favorite brand or a retailer that you admire a lot?
Decathlon.
Why?
I think it democratizes sports. I mean, if you read the tagline, it says sport for all for sport. I couldn't think of a better brand than Decathlon.
You being into online business, where do you shop from, online or offline?
Both.
Why?
I think there is a convenience and selection angle that online brings, but I think offline will continue to stay. I mean, it's a great time to go with your family, with your daughter, and just try out new things and then decide to buy. I actually I like to visit a lot of bookstores because it's serendipity, I think, plays a very large element in when you're browsing through a bookstore. So there are some beautiful bookstores in Bombay that I visit almost every alternate Saturday.
Oh, nice. 5 tips that you want to share young and budding entrepreneurs who are just starting their business.
5 would be too high. I think it would be prescriptive. But I would say one tip that I would say has worked out very well for us, and I think it will work very well for everyone, is just 2 simple words. I would say build responsibly. Don't be under any fear of missing out, FOMO. Build the way you believe is the right way and a long-term way to build. Don't prioritize quantity over quality. Simple words I would say is build responsibly.
Thank you, Manish, for your time, and thank you all for watching this show, and hope we'll be back soon with a new episode and a new entrepreneur, a new retailer with us. Thank you so much.